So peaceful sitting with ellies. So we haven't had enough time to have a proper look at them yet, although the ones I've seen do look relaxed, but they are in this terribly thick block where there's a lot of fallen trees. Let's try see if we sneak further down the road. There might be some more out in the open. Hey, mister. Oh, yes, so scary. Look how beautiful that was with the light. Millie in Cleveland's wondering if I've ever seen cave elephants. I'm trying to remember which country that is, that they go into a cave. Millie, can you remind me? But I haven't seen them. I'm just trying to remember whether they're forest elephants or savanna elephants. I think they are savanna elephants, and they go into a cave. I can't remember exactly where it is. There we go, Kitum Cave in Kenya, and they go in there for mineral salts and water. So I haven't been lucky enough to see those elephants yet, but hopefully one day. And I can hear more elephants all around us, so I'm just hoping that there's a nice big breeding herd a little bit further away. Let's just try sneak again down the road. Hey, little man. What you up to? So it's always important to just move really calmly and slowly when you're this close to an ellie, even a little one like this. You can see that exquisite light in his eye there. Look at that. Oh, he's even got mud in his eyelashes from his last mud bath. Beautiful stuff. I do so love spending time with these animals. There's a peaceful sense about them. Okay, let's go check around the corner if there's some more out in the open. If not, we'll skedaddle back here. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of them are right down in those thickets there. Just hoping maybe just go a little bit further to see if there's any more ellies there. And it does seem that most of them are down in that very, very thick area. So we'll just find a spot to turn around and we'll go back to that little boy. So I heard you guys got some wonderful screenshots of that young ellie bull in that magnificent light. Maybe we can get some better ones. Oh, he's crossed the road already. Yes, we see you. Bertie on Twitter, speaking about eyesight, says, you heard that giraffes have some of the best eyesight on the savannah. Is that true? They do have very good eyesight, and also coupled with the fact that they're so tall, which makes it so effective. So you can just see behind him, there's an elephant leg through there. And I don't think it's a breeding herd. I actually think it's a little group of bulls. I think there's 3 of them in total. Some older, and this young guy who's decided to throw his lot in with the big boys. Look at that, just blasting some air out of his trunk. Taking advantage of all the grass around at the moment. So it's not uncommon for a young bull to abandon the herd if there are some bigger boys around. They don't really like to be too alone at this time. They're still a little bit nervous. First time away from mom and all that. You can see the bigger one at the back. Very, very peaceful. Just move back, we might get a better view of that bigger bull. You got a gap there.
Very much, yes. That's good.
There we go, there's the slightly older bull, the one we first spotted. Haley on Twitter is wondering how long can their tusks get? Well, Haley, they can get quite long. I think the record for the longest tusks is probably quite a lot longer than me. So over 2 meters. There we go. Hello, little man. Feeding right next to us. Isn't this wonderful? So great. Now, where are you off to now? Here comes the head shake. Yes, you're very big, you're very scary and very tough, and we are shivering in our boots. Very common elephant bull behavior. Donna says she would love to just be able to touch an elephant's skin, just to know what it feels like. Well, Donna, it's very, very rough, very, very coarse. I wouldn't say quite like sandpaper, but very rough. I have been lucky enough to touch a few elephants over the years during game captures, but it's very difficult to describe. It is a sort of like a very rough hide, very rough leather. So Peter in Florida is saying he's noticed sometimes the elephants don't put their foot all the way down. Is there any reason for that? Probably just resting. You can see there he's actually using it to help him pluck stuff. There we go. Moving some of the stuff he doesn't want out of the way. But they're probably just having a bit of a rest on that foot. Not uncommon. You see lots of different animals do that, not put full weight on an individual foot. You notice horses do it quite often from a domestic point of view. Oh, let's just turn around quickly. That older bull is come out of the bush a little bit. Hello, mister. Oh, he's not as relaxed as the young one, so we're not going to pressurize him. Okay. Well, you can see he's not so relaxed, so I think we'll leave them be. We're getting to that time of the night when a lot of hopefully the leopards are going to start moving, so we're going to leave them and see what else we can find. So let's jump back on with Jamie, who has a spectacular sunset to show you.
How spectacular is the sunset? Since it has been such a peaceful afternoon and we've got such an extraordinary view, I'm just going to sit quietly and we can just watch the sun as it goes behind the Drakensberg Mountains. And gone. Beautiful. We've had some really, truly spectacular sunsets. This change in weather bringing all kinds of beautiful cloud formations. And that combined with the dust that's kicked up during the day really does make for some of the best sunsets in the world. I agree, Kathy. This is Africa. And sometimes its beauty almost shocks one with its sort of incredible images. Okay, that was a nice peaceful stop. I've got far too comfortable in my car seat. Time for us to move on and see what else we can find. I was on my way towards the hyena den. I got distracted by that incredible sunset. As you know, we've only got a couple of minutes of daylight left, probably about 20 or so minutes, so it's time for us to rush off there. And then hopefully after that, we will be able to go and figure out maybe where Karula's gone, or if Shadow decides to pay us a visit again. I just had to take us to a nice spot to watch the sunset. stirrings of winter, it's already a little bit nippy. We're no longer starting off our afternoon safaris feeling as though we are cameras. Sorry about that, just went a bit quiet. It seems as though our signal was breaking up a little bit on this road. Hopefully it improves as we go along Aubrey's Road towards the den site that has been so incredibly active over the last few days. We've spent quite a bit of time there just because we've been restricted to where Wendy can go. It is something that they are working on, and Wendy will be back up to full health very shortly, I'm sure. But it's just one of those things, the technology that's required to bring you something, to bring you images that are happening right here and now, all the way across the globe. And it does mean that every now and again things go a little bit wrong. Signal dips. Sometimes the engines break down. It's just all part and parcel of the safari experience, a safari live experience. And I think until I get to the den and I'm stationary, because my voice is breaking up a bit, why don't you go back across to Brent?
Welcome. We are now perusing the eastern quadrant, so to speak, of Fuyatela, or Djuma as it's better known. And we're just stopping, listening for a possible alarm call, seeing what could possibly be out here. Now, I know Jamie's on her way to the hyena den, so hopefully she'll have some luck there and they'll be nice and active. I haven't heard any updates on the radio for a while. It's amazing how the cats evade us sometimes, and other times they're just lying in the road. There's that beautiful sky. So we're going to stop and listen again shortly and see what we can hear. And sometimes at this time of the night, you do hear some wonderful bird calls. And I know you guys were chatting with Jamie about it earlier. And wondering if I got any of my own favorite bird calls. Of course I do. I think in this part of the world, although we don't really get them here on Djuma, I think one of my favorites is the white-browed robin chat. And I'll play the call for you shortly. I haven't heard anything just yet. Oh, I'm pushing the wrong buttons there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I was talking about one of my favorite bird calls, and that is the white-browed robin chat. Now, growing up in the areas I did, this is probably one of the calls we woke up to almost every morning. Beautiful, beautiful call. Takes me back. Get really excited, and they like to live on the edge of rivers, so quite often safari lodges and camps are on the edge of rivers. So I can remember many times lying in bed while it was still dark and just having the white-browed robin chat going absolutely bananas outside. It's also an incredibly beautiful bird. There you go. Very, very pretty. Okay, let's keep on trucking on. Heading back down towards the Mawati. But while we continue to search, let's jump back on to Jamie, who's made it all the way to the hyena den.
Back again at the hyena den for the last few moments of daylight. Always such a privilege getting to spend time with these wonderfully interesting animals. What I have noticed is that in the last 3 days that we've been here consistently, none of the hyenas have come back with enormously full bellies. So they haven't managed to either hunt successfully or hunt a large animal, and they haven't managed to find something to scavenge off. But we've got all 5 cubs around the entrance to the den site. There you go, Kai. I hope you are still watching. You wanted to go to the hyena den, and we have arrived. Let us know if you are still watching, Kai, and that we've been able to provide what you wanted to see for your afternoon safari. Some sleepy faces here. Obviously, playtime is slowly drawing to a close, or maybe just a brief break in between the mischief that they get up to. I cannot believe how these hyena cubs have grown. It's starting to look far more like miniature adults. There's the 2 newest arrivals, as far as we know, to this hyena den, and the cubs of the matriarch, from what we have observed. Misty, you were wondering, on the subject of the matriarchy and the way in which hyena clans function, you were wondering what would happen if there was a sudden and unfortunate death of the matriarch. How long would it take the clan to establish a new matriarch? Would they be in disorder? Or would they potentially split up, for example? Misty, it's very much a circumstantial thing. It will depend on the hyenas themselves, and there's no exact right answer to your question. As I've often said before at the hyena den, we don't know everything there is to know about their social structure. My guess would be with this clan is that one of the madam's daughters will take over from her, possibly a high-ranking female who could, both Corky and Pretty could be Madam's older daughters. Oh, but you are so cute. There's also the possibility, yes, of a split. Sometimes the different matrilineal lines will go their separate ways, as we have spoken about before. That's one of the ways in which new hyena clans are formed. It's quite a complex issue. and one that I don't have a precise answer for you. I don't think it would throw the clan into disarray. I think that a high-ranking female would probably step in or step forward automatically. There might be some power scuffles initially, whilst she establishes herself as the new head of the clan, but I don't think it would be a terribly long-winded process, that establishment. I think it is more likely that it will happen fairly quickly. Hyenas are so fascinating in terms of their social dynamics because it's something that constantly changes and that we are constantly becoming more and more aware of and learning more about. There, for example, is the matriarch herself with all those nicks and cuts in her ears. And sudden deaths do happen out here. It's a rough world. She could run foul of a lion or find herself bitten by a snake. Ooh. Lovely vocalizations happening. It's very interesting the way that Madam behaves around her cubs. She calls far more constantly to them than the other mothers do. It looks like Pretty just came in to investigate what was happening. Is that Pretty? Looks like it might be. To check up on what was going on with the cubs. And anal pasting. It's not Pretty, sorry. It isn't Pretty. I'm not sure which individual that is. But she definitely came in to investigate and immediately anal pasted around the den. Incoming. Well spotted, Gendre. The sub-adults returning to the den to be warmly received, I imagine, by the cubs. The sub-adults provide the perfect play companions. Going straight towards the other cubs. There you go, look at that. Look at how submissive that sub-adult is to a cub less than half its size. Isn't that fascinating, both of them? Look at the dominance being displayed by the cubs with their tails up in the air, and the sub-adult immediately presenting the genitals for sniffing. Looks like a male from the angle that we've got. In fact, I'm pretty sure I think this might be Bella. So the older brother, or at least older half-brother of the matriarch, so the older siblings to these cubs, but as a male, automatically showing submission to the new high-ranking members. And that, there comes Mom to investigate as well. All cubs displaying a bit of cheek there. You can see it in the body language of the sub-adults. Being nipped on the bottom by sharp cub teeth is not ideal. Nope, I've had it. I'm out. Sensational has said that hyenas look almost like prehistoric dogs, and Kathy's wondering, sort of along a similar line, about, oof, shame. Ouch. You could literally hear that hyena saying ouch there. It's amazing how they've got, sorry guys, I will get back to this question in a moment, but it's amazing how they've got that instant instinct as cubs to go for the ears and the rump. And whenever we've witnessed actual hyena fights, that's exactly the parts that are targeted. And these cubs are not gentle in their attentions. So Kathy, on a similar line of the evolution, while we watch them maul this poor adult, you were wondering if they have evolved much in the last 1,000 years. And no, they've kept this design relatively similar in terms of a species evolution. I know that Sensational has said they look like prehistoric dogs. And it's so interesting, the fact, and it is far back, but it is interesting how they evolved initially, or that cats and hyenas share an ancestor rather than dogs and hyenas. But hyenas are neither cats nor dogs. They are a completely separate animal. There is the Canidae family of dogs. Wild dogs, for example, fall under that. Shame. You're getting bullied, you poor thing. So wild dogs, jackals, foxes, Cape foxes, bat-eared foxes, all fall under the Canidae family. Then we've got the Felidae, the big cats and the little cats, the servals of the world, the lions, and then there's the Hyenidae family. In this area, the spotted and the brown hyena are probably the ones that we are most likely to encounter. Brown hyena less so, apparently has only been seen once. Oh, and now, are you curious by any chance? I'm coming to say hello. They get these frown lines of concentration in the middle of their foreheads. Look so serious. Ooh. Amazing how much braver these cubs are than the previous two sets in terms of coming close to the vehicle at this age. Oh, no, we're actually not that interesting, are we? So Shell agrees. She thinks that was Bella that we saw. I also think we've got June here as well. Shell, maybe you can confirm for me and our other experts. I don't know if Chris Rogue is watching, but it's slightly more difficult for me to identify them individually. I'm fairly certain this is Bella being mauled, and I think that we've got June's grown so much that I don't always instantly recognize him. Yes, I'm talking about you, coming up to the car. We were speaking about the different hyena species. Brent thinks he's seen tracks for an aardwolf here before, a much debated member of the hyena family, an entirely insect-eating species as opposed to a carnivore. Oof. As this roughhousing is going to end in tears or hyena yelps. Amazing what they... Oh, shame. Poor Bella. The life of an almost adult male. Being constantly picked on. Had it though. He's done. I've got somewhere in front of me, I have a hyena cub. In fact, I now have 2 hyena cubs that have moved straight under the car. I can't see exactly where they are, but I'm keeping a very close eye on the removable parts of the vehicle. Not unheard of for a hyena to snatch a cap covering a wheel. And Michelle, watching in New Jersey as the light slowly starts to fade. Ooh. Scatter! Panic! Don't know what that was about. Nothing too urgent though. Michelle, you were just wondering whether or not hyenas have ever evolved a sort of an immunity or some kind of immunity to snake venom. Sorry, I'm just gently removing the spider web that's connecting me to the camera. Michelle, could well be. They probably do have a certain resilience when compared to us. A lot of the animals out here do have a degree of immunity to some venoms. Not complete immunity, but they often survive far better than we might when exposed to snake bites. Honey badgers, of course, being the prime example, but there's no reason why hyenas might respond differently to certain venom types. You are terribly brave, little one. Sorry, I know that you can't see the cover that's currently under the bonnet. I did have one sneak up on me the other night, and I looked down. I mean, it was basically at elbow height. Is he having a good sniff? It was one of the sub-adults. Is that cub has moved now? Yes. All right. Got to have eyes in your back of the head, in the back of your head at hyena den sightings, with all of the comings and goings. As you can see, it is getting a little bit dark. We always arrive for the last few moments, but the hyenas are now starting to go, the adults are starting to move off. Let's try that entire sentence again because the words just wouldn't come out right. Try that again. The adults are moving off and the cubs therefore are going to start moving back towards the den. As we don't put lights on them, I think it is time for us to depart from the hyena den and see what other things we can find. Who knows, last night we left the hyena den and promptly bumped into the wonderful Karula, just strolling down the road. Admittedly, we had been tracking her for the better part of the afternoon. She nevertheless managed to evade me right up until the end. I'm just going to sit quietly for 1 second because I think they're going to do their whooping call. Some beautiful haunting sounds from the distance, but they're not going to call like I thought they were going to. All right, time for us to leave, see what else we can find. In the meantime, let's find out what Brent's been up to while we've been at the hyena den.
Halfway between.
So it's getting dark, so hopefully we're going to have a little bit more luck with some of our nocturnal friends. I'm just getting my spotlight out. Where is it gone now? Should be around here somewhere. There it is. Oh, underneath my binoculars. That's why it's not coming out.
Andrew, come into the arm. Anybody want? Yes, Andrew.
Okay. So we have heard that those Birmingham boys have got mobile, but unfortunately heading away from the edge of our traverse. So that's what Dave and I have been doing here, waiting patiently, hoping that they were going to start moving towards us. They're just down this road, but they are not coming this way, unfortunately. So we'll head towards that magnificent sky. So heading west at the moment. Curious one would like to know how many dragons do the folklore stories in this part of the world say there are. Only one that I know of, and it's not really a dragon but a really big serpent, a very wise creature that was not harmful at all, but used to try help the Shangaan people with medicine, used to live in a big hole in the ground. That's the only one that's sort of similar to a dragon that I know about in this part of the world. I can't remember its exact name now. It's quite a mouthful. I remember reading about it quite a long time ago. I'll definitely have to do some more research on that. So we're going to now head off the northern edge of our traverse and slowly make our way back towards the south and then down into that area where I last had Karula's tracks. Hopefully she decides to make an appearance after dark as she did last night. Absolutely stunning evening. Now, the only thing that can make it a bit better is a leopard. So Barbara, she's learned from Safari Live to always pay attention wherever you might be. You never know what little things might be about. That is so true, Barbara. From the tiniest ant or ant lion or even a mantis, there's amazing creatures, big and small, wherever you might be. So Paul Rizzo is wondering, because you just mentioned dragons, doesn't the Drakensberg mountain means dragon's back? Not quite, it means dragon's mountains. So Berg is mountain in Afrikaans and Draken is a dragon. So that is from the first Dutch colonists who thought they did look like a dragon's back, but they called it the Dragon's Mountains. So that's the Drakensberg, one of the longest mountain ranges in Africa. Not quite as long as the Andes though, which I think, I can't remember, I think the Andes is the longest mountain range in the world. And there's a big hole from the rain. And the Himalayas is the highest, and Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa is the highest freestanding mountain that is not attached to a mountain range. Megan would like to know, do we have a lot of evergreen trees here? Megan, we have a few. The most common of the evergreen trees and the most important to a lot of the animals is the buffalo thorn, because it's evergreen but also highly nutritious. So you'll find a lot of the browsing species will feed off that during the dry months. Decided to have a quick look at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole. Doesn't look like anything's about. Wonderful temperature at the moment, just almost idyllic to be out on game drive in this temperature. So we actually got a really lovely question from Sensational on YouTube, who's a new viewer. So welcome to the Safari Live family, Sensational. And Sensational would like to know, do leopards only live in Africa? They don't. They're actually one of the more widespread big cats. So they occur from the southern tip of Africa right the way through into North Africa, in the Central African rainforests, in the Sahara Desert, and the Kalahari Desert. And they extend through the Middle East, Iran, and through Asia as well, and India, all the way through to Russia. Now there's a population less than 100 leopards in the Amur region of Russia, and genetically a subspecies from our leopards, but they would be able to breed and provide viable offspring, so they're not a separate species. So it's just a local variation, and obviously evolution's taking place and speciation's taking place because they are so distinct and so far from any other leopard population. And very good news that the Russian government is actually doing a splendid job there, and the population has nearly doubled in the last 10 years. So before, one of the biggest threats to the Amur leopards was being shot when they killed livestock. Now one of the largest insurance companies in Russia, as a sponsorship, they will pay out the farmer for any of his livestock that might be killed by the leopard. Now, that is a really great and wonderful success story. Of course, not quite off the brink of the Amur leopards yet, less than 100 individuals left in the wild, but it is an amazing story. Now, leopards occur throughout India, and I know a lot of you have watched The Jungle Book or read Rudyard Kipling's classic. Now, Bagheera, the black panther, is actually a melanistic leopard. So a melanistic leopard is a genetic mutation where melanin, the dark color hormone or gene, takes precedence, and so a lot of the other colors don't come through. So there's no such thing really as a black or panther. A black panther is just a melanistic leopard. One of my favorite authors, Rudyard Kipling. Okay, we've got a bit of a traffic jam in here, and I'm not going to put the lights on the Ellies. Sometimes they don't like bright lights at night, so you can see I've just put the dims on. But we're just going to keep quiet, and I'm going to turn off all the lights and just listen to these elephants around us. We can kill this one as well too, please, Dave. Now, this is why you don't want to be wandering around in the African night. We are very, very vulnerable when it's dark. So I'm going to keep quiet, and let's pop the sound up and just listen to these incredible noises around us. Now, there's an elephant literally about 3 feet away from the vehicle, so I can't actually start and move the vehicle at the moment. She's got a little baby that I can just make out in the half light. All you can see is the flashing of the GoPros. So the rest of the herd is coming right up to us now. Just gonna let them go past. So you just heard me tap the side of the vehicle there. The one cow came very close to grabbing that GoPro ball with her trunk. And that little tap, and she just moved off. Just gonna turn on this side. Oh. So you can see we're literally surrounded by eddies. Okay. Oh, we got one more coming. Sorry, little guy. I'll turn off my lights for you now. Okay, wasn't that incredible? That was amazing. So close to us, and now I'm half expecting a trumpet as we drive off from one of the little ones. No, not this time. Wow, that was amazing. Sorry I turned off all the lights, guys, but I don't want to upset the animals, so I wanted to let them pass peacefully. And in doing so, I couldn't have all the bright lights on. Elephants sometimes really don't like that, the bright lights at night. So that's why I just turn them off. And it's amazing how much you can actually hear when you take away your sight. It's immediately some of your other senses sort of take over. Very, very interesting that. I always find that fascinating. Hi, Gracie. Gracie is one of our special regular viewers who's 8 years old. Gracie particularly loves elephants, and she just wanted to pop in and say hi, Brent, and that she loves elephants around me in the night. Absolutely awesome. I agree with you 100%, Gracie. Nice to have you on the game drive with us today. Okay, now we're through the elephants, we can pop the spotlight on again. So a big Safari Live welcome to Gosi Girl Gamer, who has just discovered Safari Live. Well, welcome to the family. She says, OMG, this is amazing. And it is truly, it sometimes even baffles us that we are able to bring you a live safari from the middle of the African bush to wherever you might be sitting in whatever country you are in the world. There we go, and our latest addition to the Safari Live family is from England. Well, it's a little bit warmer here, I must say. I battle with the English weather. What you guys call summer is quite a cold winter for us out here. Okay, so I popped that GoPro out on that open field next to the buffalo skull to do a time lapse of the sunset. Let's hope the hyena hasn't beaten us back to the GoPro. I'm just checking, I'm making sure there are no tracks here. So I'm just going to go pick it up quickly. Lady Macbeth said she didn't know GoPros could do time lapses. That's so cool. It is very cool, and they're incredibly useful for time lapses because they're so wide. And they're small enough that you can just pop them around, leave them, and hopefully they don't disappear. Now, I've had friends who have lost a few GoPros to various different critters. One to lion. I nearly lost one to a lion when I was filming with Kevin Richardson. I know hyenas have stolen a few, elephants have stolen a few, but quite interestingly, when you work on a big budget sort of documentary, which I've worked on a few, the head cameraman always joke, they call GoPros disposable cameras. So they're willing to put them in quite risky spots to get the shot. My GoPro came closest to retiring on the Kafue River in Zambia. I was driving a speedboat between some rapids, very technical boat driving, and at the same time driving a boat and trying to hang a GoPro off the side, and my GoPro clipped a rock. Fortunately, that's why they have those wonderful cases. The GoPro survived, the case did not. Whoa, that was a large dung beetle, nearly went flat into my head. Fortunately, it hit the dashboard and bounced over. It looked like quite a large dung beetle. I think that might have given me a black eye if it had connected at the speed it was flying with the speed we were driving. One of the highest flying insects, being recorded at 37,000 foot above sea level, dung beetles, at the same height as commercial airliners. Oh, little Stenborkie. So we do have a few new viewers on board with us. So you notice I turned my lights off for the Ellies. I also won't be shining on any of the impala, zebra, things like that. The spotlight can blind the diurnal or daytime animals a little bit. So, oh, there's more impala. So we will shine on the nocturnal animals. Their eyes are set up a bit differently. So they are able to withstand the spotlight without any effect on them. But with impala and zebra and giraffe and things like that, they do get blinded for a short while. Now, oh good, it's still there. The hyena hasn't taken it. I can just see the red popping on and off over there. There we go. Let's just pick it up quickly before the hyenas manage to walk off with it, because I'm pretty sure they'll see that flashing light and decide, that's very interesting. Maybe I should see what it tastes like. Now, hyenas have eaten many strange things that I've found them eating over the years. Oh! Kudu alarm calling. Just trying to get a direction. Okay, I've got them. Okay, we've got where the kudu alarm calling. It sounds very close to us. I wonder what it could be. So when kudu alarm like that, it's generally lion or leopard. So fingers crossed. Oh, so welcome to First Carolina High School and Mrs. Wyckoff's class. We are chasing off after kudu alarm calls. So when animals out here spot lion or leopard, they literally tell all the other animals that there's something there. So that kudu's going, oh. He could be saying lion, or he could be saying leopard. But we're going to go find out. Hopefully, it does sound quite close to our eastern edge of our boundary, but we're going to have a look anyway. So fingers crossed that whatever those kudu are alarming at is visible. I'm hoping for leopard personally, but it could be a big male lion. So We are right on the eastern edge of our traverse area. I would say those kudu were alarming just there. So let's see. And this is a very popular thoroughfare road for lots of animals. Now, a lot of the roads here are built on old game paths, so a very good place to look for predators. They also like to walk down roads. We're just going to turn off, and I'm going to listen for a little bit. So while I listen, let's go see what Jamie's up to, and hopefully we'll be back with a big cat.
Hello and welcome to the end part of our sunset safari. This is a wonderful time to be driving out and about at night in the bush. I hear that Brent's been racing about to follow up on alarm calls from kudu, the deepest bark in the African bush, a deep bark sound. I'm sure he's already mentioned to you, but it's only really the lions and the leopards and the cheetah that a kudu will alarm call for like that. Last night, we got so extraordinarily lucky. Brent had a leopard hunting on Sandy Patch called Shadow, and I had her mother, Karula, just outside our camp. We actually drove past and saw the camp wall. We're hoping that Karula at least might make an appearance tonight, but you never know what you might encounter being out in the dark like this. Now, Eva, you were wondering what animals are more active at night. Leopards and lions, the nocturnal hunters, the apex nocturnal predators, as well as spotted hyena. And then we've got a wide variety of different nocturnal creatures, and that's one of the reasons why I said that you've jumped on board at the right time, because it is starting to get cooler. Our African summer is coming to an end, and autumn is approaching. It means that the rarer nocturnal species are starting to come out earlier. Something like a honey badger, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, an aardvark or an anteater. We could see porcupine, white-tailed mongoose, jackal, serval. We saw a serval the last time I drove along this road, straight after the end of the drive. It's a medium-sized cat that looks a little bit like a cheetah. So all sorts of things that you could see, but here is a good example of an animal that is active at night. Now watch, is the Shangar name. Oh, he's changed his mind, he's going to come across the road. An African scrub hare. You only ever see them active during the night time. During the day, they sleep up under bushes and safe places like that. I'm just going to rest my arm like that. That's scrub hare. We don't have any rabbits, but I was wondering whether any of you might know the difference between a hare and a rabbit and the way in which we refer to them. There is a distinctive difference. Now, we don't get rabbits in this area, but we do have rabbits in the country, which you find in South Africa. I wonder whether any of you can tell me one of the main differences between a hare and a rabbit. Yeah. Can you see that light shining from his eye? That is the reflection of the tapetum lucidum, the layer at the back of the eye that reflects ambient light and enhances ambient light and allows the animal to see far better than we could ever imagine in the dark. Frodo, you were wondering, we're sitting here with our lights on and with my spotlight in hand, whether there are any irritating bugs that fly around at night. At the moment, we have a wide variety of moths and termites that have been the reproductive members of the termites that have come through to a sort of a population explosion. I believe that Brent just got quite thoroughly smacked in the face by a very large dung beetle. So yes, all of the beetles out here attracted to the lights of our vehicles. It's something you get used to really quickly though. I've never been particularly bothered by it. It is starting to get a little bit cooler. As you can see though, I'm still in my shirt. Nate was wondering, how cold does it get here at night? And the answer is, depending on the season, round about now, it's probably dropping to around 20 degrees centigrade. So close to around 74, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly. Now, once we get to winter, it will drop around between 0 to 4 degrees centigrade, so 32 to about 39 in Fahrenheit. That will be our usual temperature for our evenings. In summer, however, it's a completely different story, and the temperature very rarely drops below, in midsummer, very rarely drops below 30 degrees, which is 86 in Fahrenheit. So as you can imagine, some of the nights are quite hot and quite difficult to sleep at times. And then, of course, you've also got all of the bugs and mosquitoes in particular. Now, mosquitoes out here, I'm sure many of you know about the possibility of malaria. It's a very, very low risk area that we're in at the moment. In other words, not many mosquitoes carry it. And a lot of tourists, when they come to visit, are very panicky about the possibility of contracting malaria from mosquito bites. It's important to remember that the female Anopheles mosquito, the one that carries the malaria parasite, she won't travel much more than about 1 kilometer in distance, so less than a mile of distance that she will fly, and she has to bite somebody infected with malaria and then cover some distance and bite another person in order to transmit it. The chances of that happening are very, very slim in a situation like we're in with very few people about. It's only really when people go home to the local surrounding villages and then return to work that malaria potentially spreads. But it's something that, if caught early, is not at all serious. Now, I have another question for you. Let's see if we can get an answer to this. I'm driving along and I'm seeing a load of white stuff on the side of the road. Let me try not to burn it out too much. Let me go forward a bit. It's not the best view. Let's see if you can figure out what animal might be responsible for this. It is scat. In other words, it is predator poo. And I wonder if you can figure out why it is so white in color and what might have been responsible for that. I'll give you some time to mull over that. In the meantime, I'm sure you're all eager to find out how Brent's leopard search has gone. So let's hear it from him.
Welcome back, guys. Sorry, I'm just on the Game Drive channel. I said it was Ingwe calling. Sounded like just Mulwanini, that area from Chillicothe Line Junction with Gowrie Main. So just letting the other guys know, unfortunately that leopard, I heard him call. Now, a leopard, it sounded like a male to me, a territorial call. So one of the reasons they call is to let all the other leopards know that this is their spot. And it is called a rasp or a saw, is what a leopard call is described as. And it goes something like, I just need to prepare myself, something like this. So there we go. That's what a leopard's territorial call sounds like. Now, very interesting there is that only members of the Panthera genus are able to do that. So the big cats that are able to make big noises all belong to the genus Panthera. So jaguars, lions, tigers, leopard, and I think that's it. So in all cat species, they have a hyoid bone or a hyoid apparatus, and what that is a little bone in their throat. And in the small cats, that little bone is solid. So in your domestic cat, that's why it can't roar. Hello. That's why he can't roar. But with lion, leopard, jaguar, they have their hyoid bone is not solid. It is elastic. It's almost cartilaginous, and the vibration of that is what enables them to make a very big sound. saw a bush baby, but he disappeared very quickly. So Matt is wondering, does driving near the animals affect their hunting? It can do, Matt, but animals will their body language gives away signs. So if we see an animal start stalking, I'm being attacked by dung beetles tonight. If an animal starts stalking, their body language changes and we immediately turn off the lights. It's not so much the vehicle, but the light that can affect their hunting. Either it'll show the possible prey species, where the predator is, or if you keep the light on the prey species, you can blind them, making it easier for the lion or leopard to catch them. So we don't want to interfere. So if we see an animal is actively stalking, we'll switch off all the lights and we'll just listen to what happens. So either alarm calls will be given, the animal has been spotted, the chase is up, and then we'll go look at it, or they'll manage to catch something and we'll hear that noise. But now we're going to move away from the big cats, and Jamie has got one of the more interesting many-legged creatures to show you.
Not a big cat, or in fact a mammal, but a fascinating little arthropod, oopsie, sorry buddy, known as a millipede. And just look at all of his legs, try and see. I know it's difficult and I'm trying not to let him escape, but the way in which his legs move almost in waves as he moves forward, they are such fascinating creatures. Here, look at his legs. Look at the way they move. Hello. Hello. Oh, my goodness. Are you coming to say hello? Here we go. Let's catch you here before you crawl up my shoulder. So, millipede, the local sort of colloquial term for them is a shongololo, and it is a perfectly, entirely harmless little arthropod. Unlike its caterpillar cousin, oh, sorry, not caterpillar. Caterpillar is also harmless. Unlike its centipede cousin, it is completely harmless to us unless we eat it. So it's an animal that carries a cyanide-type substance within it that would be toxic to humans. And it's one of those amazing things about the ways that animals are adapted out here, that there is always something adapted to be able to utilize resources, no matter how seemingly toxic those resources may be. In this case, there is an animal known as a civet that you could well see whilst we drive around at night that makes a meal of a millipede. Look at him go. All right, buddy, thank you very much. Sorry, I plucked him from the road in order to show you, so I'm just going to jump out and return him back to his rightful place before we move on and see what else we can find. Bear with me one moment. Okay. Now, one very important thing to note as I got out of the vehicle now, we spend a lot of time walking in the bush, but we don't do so at night, and there's a very good reason for that. At night, animals respond entirely differently to us as human beings. And the reason behind that is that we are not the dominant predator at night. So Nate, you were wondering about the feline's night vision compared to a human's. Now Nate, if I were to turn off all of my lights, the camera would probably be able to brighten up a little bit the surrounding areas, but for the most part, human beings with our night vision, we're fairly lacking, and unless it's a full moon night, we would struggle to navigate in the bush in the dark. A cat, however, any one of the cats, is able to see almost as clearly as it does during the day. And that has to do with that reflective layer that I was talking about. One of the things has to do with the reflective layer that I was chatting about with the scrub hair. What I'm going to do, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to. There's a group of impala, but I don't want to stress them out. And there's one slightly nervous scrub hair. Well done, Tasha. As our scrub hair hops away. Shame, I'm actually going to leave it. You can see just by its body language and with its ears back that it's a little bit scared. Let's leave it be. to go about. It's got enough things to be scared of without us adding to it. Natasha, very well done. You were right about why the dung is white. It is white because of the diet of the animal. And when I tell you the answer, it will be really clear about why that is. The dung that we were looking at, or the scat is the correct term for a carnivore poo, is from a spotted hyena. Now, spotted hyenas, unlike the other animals out here, have powerful bone-crushing jaws and are capable of consuming bones at a far higher level than leopards or lions. Leopards and lions can eat bones, the softer, smaller ones, but they're not capable of utilizing and crushing the bones in the same way hyenas are. And that is why, because of the high levels of calcium in their feces, that is why it turns white over time. Our chase, while we drive around at night, and we spoke a bit about nocturnal predators, you were wondering about what animal is at the top of the food chain. Chase at night, it is the lion. And in fact, during the day, it is also the lion to an extent. The reason I'm sort of saying that not quite accurate is because human beings are the dominant predator during the day. Even though in this particular area, it is obviously a conservation area, times have changed, we're geared towards protecting the animals rather than hunting them. But at night, it is most definitely the lion. Now, we're coming to the end of your class, and I believe that you're all going on spring break soon, so I hope that you have a wonderful time. It's been great having you on the back of the vehicle, albeit for a brief few minutes. Have a wonderful time, and I hope to see you back with us once again. Cheers.
So we've got time for one last question from Devon, who would like to know, what is the coolest thing I've seen on drive? Well, Devon, I think since I've been doing the live drives, the coolest thing is definitely the Nkahuma Pride. Stalking, catching and killing an adult buffalo bull. And it was amazing, and I think it was probably the first live buffalo kill ever caught on camera. So really, really exciting and an incredible sequence of events. You can actually have a look at that video on our YouTube channel. So it's nearly the end. Unfortunately, no cats tonight, but thanks to Mrs. Wyckoff's class for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.